3 hours. At BBC Radio Leeds at the minute, we are running a £10 million of work campaign, all about trying to point people in West Yorkshire to some jobs that are available right now. And my first guest this evening is here to talk a little bit more about job searches following recent research by Indeed. A study has found that over a third of people in Leeds believe there is not a job for them in the area after the COVID-19 employment crisis appears to have triggered a downturn in confidence. According to the research, it's found that 54% of people do not believe they will be successful when job hunting. So to help combat unemployment and to boost some self-belief among job seekers, Indeed has partnered with Sure Trust and a new confidence ambassador. And to chat to me more about it now is psychologist and wellbeing consultant Lee Chambers. Lee, welcome to the show.
It's great to be with you this evening, Emily.
Thank you so much for joining me. These stats are a little bit worrying, aren't they, when it comes to people's confidence with job hunting at the minute?
Yeah, so naturally it's a very challenging time with everything that's going on outside of the job market. But at the same time, it's a very challenging time to actually be looking for work given how competitive things are, how the job market is evolving and changing. And naturally, when we're looking at the process of job hunting, it takes quite a bit of courage to get yourself out there, to get your CV, to get applying. And ultimately, a big part of that courage comes from our confidence that we can, really apply ourselves, look at the skills that we've got and how we can utilise those skills in the positions that we're aiming to achieve, and really starting to look how we can raise that self-belief, because naturally, job hunting, you're unlikely to get the first job you apply for. So we need to almost prepare and build our resilience so that when we unfortunately don't have success in attaining the position we've applied for, we can bounce back to ensure that we can go for the next one, and also we can be brave enough to maybe ask for a little bit of feedback or see things that we could improve on so we can continue getting better as we really aim to find that meaningful work, that job that's going to make us happy on a Monday morning as we log in or travel to and start a meaningful day's work.
What kind of things do you think are causing this anxiety? Is it just the pandemic alone, or is it other things as well?
I think there's a lot of different elements, Emily, when it comes to it. Obviously, the pandemic causes the underlying level of anxiety when there's something out there that ultimately we've not lived through this kind of circumstance, not for a long time anyway, and that does cause a lot of the stability and a lot of the foundations that we have, the comfort in life and the certainty of knowing and being able to plan for things. It's put all that up in the air. And obviously, having a job and that kind of process of going into employment, again, is a very much, our careers give us a lot of identity. They give us a lot of meaning. They give us a structure. They give us routine. They kind of give us quite a lot of the things that COVID has taken away. And because of that, it means that getting into an employment at the minute is almost doubly challenging, because it's difficult to plan for that future. And obviously, what it's done is accelerated some of the changes in jobs. Things have become more digital. Some things have become more remote. Things like hospitality and retail, it's very difficult to operate those businesses in these times. So there's people who would probably prefer to go into that kind of employment, but having to look and think, right, okay, so I work in hospitality, I'm really good with people, I've got good customer service skills, I might work in different aspects, but how can I use those skills and maybe take them to a different industry? Even if that's not what I want to do in the long term, it's really important to kind of get into a place where we're working in a different industry. It's a little bit outside of our comfort zone, but that can actually build our confidence over time by trying new things, by actually looking at what we can do, the possibilities and the options of different places. And obviously for some people, there's the ability to maybe apply for jobs that you couldn't have previously travelled to outside of West Yorkshire, for example, and maybe there's a remote working contract that you could take from somewhere else in the country, but it's having the confidence to be able to apply for those and the aspiration and resilience, because then again, the job searching process, there are a lot of knockbacks, and it does require that mindset that actually maybe I've not got the job I want yet, but if I keep going I will get that job.
It's funny you mention about kind of, a lot of jobs changing, a lot of people are having to work from home, things are becoming more kind of, I guess a lot of it's focused online and content in that way. I was having a chat with someone in the office earlier about there is kind of a lot of women sometimes don't necessarily think they are appropriate for certain roles because of kind of gender constructs. Do you think that will be adding into a lot of it as well?
I mean, when we look at a little bit more deeper into Indeed's research, what we do see is the pandemic has made it more challenging for certain, groups of society. It's been more challenging for women. It's been more challenging from people from a BAME background. And it's been, very challenging for people who are young coming into employment for the first time, and people coming towards the end of the employment, given how things have sort of changed so dynamically, and many different groups are affected. But if there's one thing that runs through it all, it's having that confidence, that self-belief, that not looking at those potential barriers. It might be slightly more difficult to attain certain positions in work depending on your own demographic, yet at the same time, the project to look at confidence and courage as a construct to build people up so they can go into the job hunting process, be confident to apply, and then when they attain those interviews, they can go know deep down what skills they've got, know the value that they bring, and articulate that really well at interview to get that across. Ultimately, what I can bring to your company, these are the things that I can do, these are the things that I can learn, and also, what can your company potentially do for me? And that's a question that does require confidence, but it's important that you ensure that your work is also giving you a level of fulfillment too. And the workshops that are on, they're focused around confidence, self-belief, growth mindset, proactivity, feeling assured. And it's these skills, these inner strengths, these elements of resilience that are going to be really beneficial and help us build the technical skills for jobs on top of them.
If there are people listening at the minute that have maybe kind of they've either lost a job or they're looking to get back into work but are facing some setbacks, what kind of advice would you give to them right now?
I definitely suggest going out there to people you've worked with previously, your friends and your family, and asking them what do they think your strengths are. Because so often we don't actually see some of the skills and strengths that we've got until other people highlight them. And that can give us a real boost in terms of looking at how we can apply that to a new job. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a lot of different aspects out there, but definitely it's a time to look, you've probably lost some elements of routine and structure from your day. But if you can start to plan things in, planning some learning things, some development things, and some things for you, and have that bit of self-compassion and kindness, because job hunting can be quite challenging sometimes. And there's definitely an important point where it's important not to beat yourself up if you're finding yourself not getting those positions straight away, because that does bring our confidence and our self-belief down. So if you can keep being kind to yourself, find people who can support you, maybe look out for someone who can mentor you or give you some advice and give you a third and second opinion on things, and really just ensure that you keep as positive as you can. It's not an easy climate out there, but at the same time, it's your positivity that will continue to shine through in your applications, and when you get into the workplace, you'll be positive, you'll hit the ground running, and you'll still have that confidence and mindset to learn whatever you need to in those ever-changing roles that we go into in the workplace nowadays.
Lee, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I think everyone can take away the trying to be a bit more compassionate and kind to ourselves. So thank you very much for that. Hope you have a lovely rest of your Thursday evening.
An absolute pleasure, Emily.
Thank you. The wonderful Lee there, psychologist and wellbeing consultant, just giving us a little bit of advice if we are applying for jobs at the minute, how to keep motivated. I think we could have all done with that advice today.